Hi, my name is Soph, and I was supposed to be taking my A levels this summer, but due to the current pandemic, exams have been cancelled. So I would just thought I would talk through my kind of thoughts and feelings on the situation. So, first, I thought I would talk about the bad things that have come as a result of the fact that I won't be taking my exams. Well, technically, I should have taken them already, and I haven't. So, the first thing that springs to mind is the fact that I will always be that year that never took their exams, and I just feel like when I apply for jobs in the future, they're gonna look at me and just be like, "Oh yeah, but you didn't actually get those grades," and I'm like, "Well, there's nothing I can really do about that," and I just feel like that's gonna put me at a disadvantage, because they're going to be like, well, how do I know you actually would have obtained that? Like, I've just got to take your teacher's word for it. And I just think that's a really difficult situation because obviously, like, I cannot prove that had I sat the exam, I would have got the grade that I'd come out with. And then equally, like, what if I come out with grades that I think are worse than I would have got? I mean, obviously, like, there is the opportunity to resit, but, like, logistically, if it's not that bad, is that something I'm willing to do? Especially if I've met my university offer, I'm not too sure. So I think, first of all, that's, like, something really difficult to kind of deal with. The next thing is that I kind of doubted that I am good enough to be a Cambridge offer holder, and I kind of feel like, oh no, they just picked me for this reason or this other reason, and they like don't actually think I'm good enough and I'm gonna get there and I'm not gonna be able to do it and everyone's gonna be so much smarter than me. And I kind of said to myself, okay, well, most people, their offer is A star, A star, A for my course. So if I can get at least that, given that so many people do the course with just that at A level and go on and get amazing grades, then surely if I can get that or better, then I am just as deserving as them. So I kind of wanted to prove to myself that one, I am worthy of my Cambridge offer, and two, that I am good enough to get the grades that my teachers were saying that I was gonna get. And then kind of moving on from the university is that we won't have had that really intense revision period where you're there trying to like nail every single topic, which one means that there are some things that I was still a little bit wobbly on when school ended, and like had we stayed, I would have been straight to my teachers being like, can you help me with this? But obviously now it's kind of just down to me to sort that out myself. I mean, there's no one chasing me. I mean, I still will do it because my degree is going to use it, so I kind of need to. And then at the same time, without having that really intense revision period and school being cut short like 3 months early, there's the worry that I could forget some things. So I've been trying to counteract that by doing some work as I go along, but honestly, like, it's just not the same. Like, I can do an hour or two every day, but it's not the same as going to school all day and revising for exams. Like, you just can't really artificially simulate that environment. So yeah, there is going to be stuff that's going to be quite different to previous years. I mean, I suppose we're all in the same boat, so our lecturer is going to be more lenient because of it, or do they think that, oh, well, you've had so much time off, so you should have read ahead? I just really don't know how it's going to work, but I suppose we'll see. Also, I'd already made like all of my revision resources because I make them as we go along, and now I'm not going to get to use them, which is quite annoying because it's like, well, I could have just not made them and I would literally be in exactly the same position now, but I did make them to make my life easier when I was sitting my exams, so I didn't have to make them, but now I don't get to use them myself. And then it's kind of like, well, that's 2 years of work just down the drain. And I remember when they announced it, I literally just finished my homework, and it was actually some really difficult homework that we had. And So I just finished it. I was like, okay, I'm not too happy with it, but like I'll go in, see what my teacher says, and like that's something I'm gonna have to work on. Went downstairs, saw Boris's speech, and he just goes, exams are cancelled. And I'm just like, what? And then the next couple of days at school that we had left, it just felt like we'd all lost a massive sense of purpose. Like our teachers were trying to keep things as normal as possible, especially as we didn't really know what was going on because they literally just said exams are cancelled and no more detail. So they were like, okay, well maybe we're going to have to provide evidence for your grades. Like no one was really sure what was going on. So like, okay, well we're going to have to continue as normal, but like no one's going to continue as normal when you just dropped a bomb like that with no further details. And it was just a very strange time because kind of it was all gone, but then equally it wasn't, and no one really knew how to feel or what to think of the whole situation, and it was just really strange. And then on top of that, half my friends missed our last day. So I've got photos from our last day, but instead of it being like all of my friends in there, there's only like half of us, which is quite upsetting because in years to come, like I'll look back at them and half of my friends are missing, and like we don't have any last photos at school. Like, so they were missing because they were self-isolating. So they went home one day not knowing that the next day they were going to come down with symptoms, whether or not that was actual coronavirus, who knows. But they didn't know that that was going to be their last day, and like none of us knew that that was going to be their last day, and that's that. Like that's 14 years of education for it just to end like that. And I don't know, it's quite sad, it's quite anticlimactic. I mean, we're not going to get a prom in the usual sense. My school has said that they're going to do something, but at the moment it's probably going to be more like Christmas. And I suppose by that time, like everyone will have moved on, and it just won't be the same. It won't be like exams are finished, let's have like one last celebration together before everyone goes off, because everyone will have already gone off. We'll already know what results we've got, and obviously like having one at Christmas is like the best we could hope for, but surely like it would be better just to have the normal situation. But then again, like I totally understand that that is completely not possible, and obviously like that would be totally irresponsible. So I agree that like one at Christmas is the best thing to do, but it's just annoying that every other year has had that and we've not. Like it's a rite of passage in a way that, you know, you sit your A levels and then you go off on holiday together to like Ibiza or something, and all those things that everyone does, and we're just not going to get to do any of that. And some of my friends have planned gap years and now they're like, well, I'm not going to X, Y, and Z, I'm just going to be sat in my room. Or, you know, that their plans have had to completely change. And, you know, if they knew that in advance, would they have taken a gap year? And then some people are trying to take gap years because they don't want to go to uni with it all being online. And it's all just a bit crazy. And then, like, loads of my friends were turning 18 or turned 18 during quarantine. And especially those that turned 18 at the beginning, where we weren't allowed to see anyone, like they literally just had to spend that day at home, whereas those of us that were 18 beforehand were able to have like normal parties and everything. And I kind of feel bad for them because like my birthday was in January, so I got my party. I mean, I got my Cambridge offer on the same day as my birthday, and then my party was that weekend, so that was like a pretty wild night. And then loads of my friends aren't going to get that. And then being in such a big friendship group at school, there were about 30 of us, which meant that it was someone's birthday approximately every 2 weeks. So that meant that we were having a party like every 2 weeks. So, you know, we were going out reasonably frequently, and then just suddenly like that just stopped and we're all at home. And it's quite weird. Like under normal circumstances we would be like going out and we'd be going clubbing, and like we had so many plans for nights out, like, oh, these people are going to turn 18 and then we're all going to go out together to like celebrate on top of the party, and like all of that's been cancelled. So despite having turned 18 in January, I still haven't been clubbing yet because we were waiting for a couple more people to turn 18 because it was like, okay, well, if we just wait another week, then so-and-so will be 18 as well, so they can come with us. So we were waiting, and then the next thing we know, like, everything's been shut down, and we're like, oh, okay, well, that's then. But even, like, besides going out, just seeing everyone at school every day, like, you don't realise how much social interaction you just take for granted. And just, like, the crazy things that used to just happen in the common room, like, that's just stopped. Like, as you can imagine, with nearly 30 of us in a group, it was absolute chaos. But then again, that's something we're not going to get again now. On top of all of this, like, you read any self-help book and it will tell you, like, get outside, see friends, you know, do things, and now we're all in quarantine, so obviously we can't do things. I mean, things are starting to lift, so, like, you can go see a couple of friends at a distance outside, but then, like, compare that to what, like, you could almost say, like, we should be doing. So that is, like, going on holiday together to celebrate the end of our exams, or, like, having parties, going clubbing, like, normal teenage things. We just don't get to do. And my last point about the bad things that have come out of not taking my exams is that, honestly, I really liked school, which, you know, probably doesn't come as a surprise, but yeah, like, I really liked it. It didn't feel like a big chore like it was for most people. I enjoyed lessons, I enjoyed learning, and yeah, and then that's just been taken away, like, prematurely. I think I kind of always will feel like, yeah, I missed out on something. Like I said earlier, like, it's a rite of passage that you spend 14 years at school, you do your GCSEs, you do your A levels or whatever you choose to do after your GCSEs, and mine's just been cut short. I mean, I saw someone compare it to you're watching a film that you really like, and then the last 20 minutes just get cut, and you never know what happens. And yeah, that is what it feels like. I will never know what those last, like, couple of months would have been like. Maybe it would have been great, maybe it would have been dreadful, and we would all, like, be dying under exam pressure. I don't know. I don't know what the summer would have been like under normal circumstances. Now that I've talked about all the bad things about the situation, I thought I would just shed light on some of the good things, I suppose, or, like, the advantages that we've now got that exams are cancelled. So I suppose I can't exactly burn myself out with exam stress now because it's all gone. I mean, I can still panic about, like, oh, am I going to get the right grades? And that's quite a weird kind of thought, because I'm like, well, when I go in, it's not quite going to be the same, because obviously my teachers have kind of spoken to me, like, before the whole pandemic thing about what they were predicting me, so I know what they're predicting me, and I imagine the grades that they've submitted to the exam board aren't too different. So I kind of vaguely know what I'm getting, whereas if I'd sat the exam, obviously, like, oh, there was one paper that, like, went really badly, is that going to completely throw my grade? Like, I don't have that anymore. And even if I didn't get the grades that I wanted, it's not really my fault in the same sense of it as if I'd taken the exam, because if I'd taken the exam and got a B, then that's not really arguable, because, well, you sat the exam, you wrote what you wrote, and it was marked, and you got a B. Like, you can't dispute that, whereas when it's done on, like, a predicted grade, well, it's really difficult to say what you would have got. And luckily I did do really well in my mocks, despite having done, like, no work, so don't ask me how that happens. I am really shocked at that even still. So thankfully I do have that. But yeah, I mean, I suppose now I have lots of time to focus on hobbies, and I've tried a couple of new things while we've been in lockdown. Possibly found myself a couple of new hobbies, which I suppose is quite nice. I have done a little bit of reading ahead for next year, although current students are a bit like, don't really worry about it, just make sure that your maths is pretty good and you'll be pretty fine. Basically, like, enjoy the time that you've got off because Cambridge is intense. I mean, having so much more time has allowed me to start this channel. So I suppose if you're watching this, then you probably think that's a pro. I mean, I suppose I don't have to get up early anymore. But then again, I did just get a job at Sainsbury's and my shift starts at 8 in the morning, so I have to get up at 7, so kind of stabbed myself in the back with that one. Equally, I don't have to eat any bad school lunches anymore, which actually I'm quite happy about, but then at the same time I kind of don't like cooking, so... But then I don't want to eat bad school lunches, so, you win some, you lose some. Overall, I mean, I quite like the fact I don't have to eat school lunches. Finally, I'm saving money on fuel because I'm not driving to school anymore, and there aren't really any schools near where I live, so I did have to drive quite far to school, so I did spend a reasonable amount on fuel, but then again, now my car is kind of like an ornament on the drive, so that's probably not good for its battery. But then again, it is the one that's being used for all the weekly shops and all the trips out, so hopefully she'll be alright. Finally, I just wanted to round off by saying that all the things I've listed in this video are purely related to my situation with exams and school being cancelled. Obviously, the entire situation is horrible and there are thousands of people dying and so many people have lost family members. I do know a couple of people who have lost mums, granddads, etc. So obviously, like, that is dreadful, and I haven't touched on any of that in this video. I mean, when you consider that as well, like, it definitely goes without saying that overall it is a bad situation. I think if you purely look at the exams and school side of it, like, would I rather be this year or would I rather have been any other year? I would have rather been any other year, but it is what it is, and I or no one else can go and change that, and we've cancelled school and exams for safety reasons, and I think that is definitely a sensible thing to do because, like I said, like, there are thousands of people dying and we need to do anything we can within reason to prevent more people from dying. So yes, if that means cancelling my exams, then fine, like, I will shut up about the bad things. So yeah, basically just a little disclaimer, like, obviously this situation is way wider than what I've spoken about in this video, but purely as a student who was year 13, I just wanted to give my perspective on the fact that school's been cut short and I am no longer sitting my A-levels. So hopefully you found this interesting if you are not year 13 or year 11, or maybe if your exams are still going on. I think a couple of countries have kept them. Yeah, or if you're another year just interested in what it feels like. Hopefully this gave you a little insight into what it's like.